Hi, I'm Mel's Expert, and this is my, let's see here, third episode of Computers for Dummies. Today, I will be showing you, well, actually, technically, this is also the first episode of my C++ tutorial on YouTube. So today, I'll be showing you how you can write a Hello World program. I'll be showing on two different operating systems, Windows and, of course, Ubuntu. Actually, the instructions for Ubuntu will be similar with other Linux distros as well. Maybe even a little similar to Mac OS. So first you want to install Visual Studio. You can do it by going onto, this is the Windows part, by the way. You can install Visual Studio by going onto your web browser and searching on Google Visual Studio Community Edition. Community Edition is the free one. That's why I said that. And you'll download the installer. It is an online installer, so keep in mind it takes a while to install. And I'm going to show you what I have installed. Let's see here. I'm going to show you what I have installed to show you what you need to do this. Because there are different components. I recommend only installing the components you need. So desktop development with C++ and all its optional components. That's what I chose to install. You can see desktop development with C++, and you see here the, here's the optional tools. Not tools, the optional, components. So like I said, it takes a long time to install. I already installed it, so I'm just going to close out the installer. But yeah, it takes a long time to install because it's pretty big, and also it's an online installer. Meaning it doesn't actually have the files built into the installer. It downloads them. So it downloads them first, then installs them. YouTube video. Sorry, my brother just said something. I'm not sure if you can hear it or not, because I am using headphones this time around to kind of reduce background noise. And let's see here. I kind of like the blue theme, but if I were using an IDE that doesn't have a blue theme, I'd probably use a dark theme. But we are using one that has a blue theme. So I've always found weird about Visual Studio. How Visual Studio has a blue theme. Most of them don't. Most programs with different themes is either light or dark. The Switch's operating system is either light or dark. All that stuff. Let's just wait for it to prepare for first use. Create a new project. Let's go here, but yeah, I think I'm gonna do something though with this. Just wait for it to create all the files that we need. You know what? This is obviously a joke I always tell on my channel. Ignore this stuff over here, like Spanish subtitles. I'm just gonna erase this and show you my better version of it. So, my version's only only has a little bit more stuff to it. So, hashtag include CC hashtag include IO stream. Here's basically what that says. So, in C++, there are what's called headers, which allow your program to do extra things. Some headers are built in, some are not. IO stream is one that's built in. And basically, hashtag include is to add that header to your program. IO stream is the header for input and output, meaning typing stuff in and showing text. Well, input and output are things other than files. Files use a different header. Some programming tutorials will tell you to put in using namespace std after that, like using namespace std, like that. Remember, semicolons separate lines, so they're important. Your program will fail to compile if you don't put in semicolons in things other than loops, functions, or preprocessor things. What I mean by those things is preprocessor things means like hashtag include, for example. As you can see, there's no semicolon there because it's not required with preprocessor things. Although, one thing is, don't do this. Don't put in using namespace std. Here's why. The whole point of a namespace is to separate libraries with things that have the same name. A library is basically a collection of headers. So, to separate them, they use namespaces. The whole point of a namespace, like I said, is to separate them. And if you're putting using namespace into the name of a namespace here, it basically defeats the whole purpose of a namespace, because then it basically allows you to type in a shortcut where instead of insert namespace here, colon, colon, and then the function in the namespace, you just type in the function in the namespace, which means it can cause conflicts. But yeah, here's something that every single C++ program requires. Int main and put the curly braces there. Although one good practice to do if you're doing this, if you're making a C++ program, like I said, they all require a function of type int called main. They all require that. Every single C++ program has that. So one good practice when doing this is to put in these arguments. Int argc, comma, char. You have to put an asterisk here. Argv, and then put the brackets there to show that like this is an array. Okay, what did I do wrong? Because it says no, I didn't do anything wrong. It was just lagging a bit. Basically what that does is allows you to put in command line arguments. What that means is like, basically, you know how when you run a program that runs in the command prompt or terminal, depending on what operating system you have, you know how when you're running a program like that, when you're doing that, it will require that you like have it in the terminal or command prompt, and like you notice that some of these programs will actually allow you to type in things after you type in the name of the path to the program, because like the path to the program is the first argument, then it's going to come after that or next argument. And here's what these do. argc is argument count, meaning how many arguments there are. argv is argument vector, meaning what those arguments are. And then, because this tutorial is just making a hello world program, let's do std : cout arrow, and then create some quotation marks. wait, semicolon, remember, main is a function, hashtag include IOStream is a preprocessor thing, so those don't require semicolons, but this does require semicolons, because it's not one of those things. So, there are two ways you can do this. So basically, std : cout, you could just use cout if you was using namespace std, but remember I said not to do that. So what if another library also has something called cout, and you want to use that library. And let's see here, what was it? Oh yeah. So std : cout, cout stands for console output. And like the arrow is basically saying, put it into the console output. Put in the quotation marks into the console output. So what that means is, hello world will go into the console output. However, what this means is that it's not going to create a new line. I mean, it's going to look messed up when you run the program. You can prevent that from happening by doing one of two things. Here are the two things you can do. One of them is put in \n. I feel like that's the better one to do if you're working with either just text and quotation marks, or if you're working with something that ends with text and quotation marks. But if you're doing a variable, which I'll teach in a different lesson, you want to do not this, but this. Arrow, std : endl. They do the same thing. It's just one is there for variables, the other is there for just text and quotation marks. But since we're doing text and quotation marks, we'll do /n. It has to be a backslash, can't be a /. If you may be wondering, if that creates a new line, then how do you do backslashes? It's simple, just 2 backslashes. I'll teach more escape sequences like that before, but later, I can't English today. In later tutorials, I'm going to teach more of these escape sequences, meaning things where you use a backslash and something to basically make your text do things. So for now, we'll delete this because we want to be the one that creates a new line and not the one that prints a backslash. And there's one last step. This isn't required for a program, but it's a good practice to do. You'll notice that the function says int main. Int means integer, and what that means is that the return type of the function is an integer. And main, if the function returns 0, that means the program executes successfully. However, if it returns anything other than 0, it tells the operating system that the program did not execute successfully. We want to tell it that it did, so we'll just type in, return 0, and then semicolons. Like I said, literally everything that's not preprocessor, loops, or functions uses semicolons. Actually, I guess also cases and switch statements use colons instead of semicolons, but pretty much everything else uses semicolons. But yeah, now here's what we do. Build solution, and then it's going to start converting this human-readable code into computer-readable code. Keep in mind, though, that this computer-readable code, whether or not it will actually be read by your computer, is determined by two things. Your operating system, meaning this will only run on Windows, and your architecture, meaning this will not run on something like a phone. Because like phones use a CPU architecture called ARM. Computers use a CPU architecture called like x86 or x64, and like this is x86, which x64 is compatible with, but still. So now we go to where we have our program stored. So you see this path right here? No, where is it? There. You know what? Let's just remove that from there and just make it the folder. There, open the folder. Keep in mind, though, that programs use made using Visual Studio that are written in C++ on Windows require this thing called the Visual C++ redistributable package. If you have Visual Studio installed, it installs that for you. However, if you don't have Visual Studio installed, you can still get it without installing Visual Studio. But if it complains about missing DLL files, that most likely means that you need to install that. See, look, it says Hello World, like we said before. See, look at that. That's what the program does. It makes the screen say Hello World. Actually, you know what? On second thought, I think I'm actually going to just tell you how you do in Ubuntu instead of just show you. Actually, I'm gonna, like, do a little bit of explaining it. Like, so in Ubuntu's text editor has a feature to highlight syntax, meaning to actually realize you're typing code. I mean, it's not that good of a way to do it. Like, there are better ways to do it. But that's the way you could do it with just the default stuff. So, type in the same code you would type in if you were doing it on Windows. Save the file with .cpp as its extension. And then to get it into the computer readable form, you would do this. You would type in to your terminal. You might need to install G++ with sudo apt-get install G++. You might need to do that, but if you already have it installed, you do G++ and the path to the CPP file, -O, and then the path to where you want to save the program. And then just drag the program into the terminal window and hit enter like you would on Windows. Except it's not going to have the .exe extension like it does on Windows. Unless you're being dumb and with -O you gave it an exe extension, which is literally a really dumb idea because then Windows will think it's a program for Windows, so don't do that. Just give it no extension. Yes, no extension is what you want for that. Yeah, now let's close the program. Close all these programs, actually. Okay, so this is Mel's best friend signing off.